kind of green gamboo going on here, some chest gamboo. So I'm a little ill, but here I am. Man, how about that first show I did? I was thinking, man, maybe I'll be rusty. I won't know what to say, but I listened to it, a couple times. I like to critique myself, and I found out that I'm probably never going to get invited to an InfoWar gathering or a Truth Frequency event, which is fine by me. I don't know what exactly. I mean, I got a lot of things we can talk about today. One of the things I kind of wanted to, well, first of all, we did lose a demon today or this weekend. Beau Biden died. The fucking news is just trying to glorify that parasite's life. Now, if you people that listen to my show for a while may recall I had Sheriff Jeff Christopher on from Delaware. Delaware is where Beau Biden, son of Joe Biden, was the attorney general, and what they did there was eliminated the power of the sheriff, the only actual elected law enforcement official in Delaware County, and took away their arrest power. I mean, one of the things that Sheriff Christopher disputed was the fact that if he sees corruption in government, he has not only the right but the duty to arrest corrupt politicians. And, of course, the corrupt politicians don't want nothing to do with that. Beau Biden is a avid supporter of AIPAC, a foreign political entity here on the American soil. But I'm not sad by Beau Biden's death. I actually kind of am, because it may be harder now to rescind some of the bills passed there in Delaware, but my actual views on Beau Biden are he's just a typical parasitical piece of crap scumbag politician, and not positive if he had all the Ukrainian oil contracts. I do know that. It would not surprise me. Okay, so the other Biden son, Joe Biden, has ties to the intelligence community. Obviously, John McCain has been given some sort of official post in Ukraine. They now have the outlawed and ousted leader of Christ, not Czechoslovakia. Hold on. Where did we go? Let's see. I do know where. At any rate, it's unimportant. But my point is that there's no need to shed a tear over Beau Biden or his Illuminati family. They're all, cut from the same cloth. God, I don't even know where to go. Well, I guess we could start. Yeah, Hunter Biden. Okay. So there you go. That's where all the corrupt creeps right now. That's where the corruption money can be made, is in the Ukraine. All the mercenary money's being made down in Syria and Iraq right now. We see that scuzzy filth, Hillary Clinton, in the news. The whole cover-up. I mean, so really, I mean, right is wrong. Truth is, so what would we rather have? I mean, you look at what's going on over there. First, Assad is our bitter enemy. Now Assad is actually fighting our bitter enemy, who we armed and trained. I mean, I was just listening. I was just talking, not talking, but listening to a guy who was just in Syria. And really, Assad is their only hope there right now because of these Zionist trained Wahhabi. You know, uh, they're not Muslims. Don't let anybody fool you into thinking ISIS, Islamic State are Muslims. They're not Muslims. They're killing Muslims. They're Zionists. They were Western trained, Western funded. I mean, you could go over to Brandon Tuberville's website. He has it pretty well laid out. I just like to point out the scumbags in our government that are actually, I mean, outright like John McCain, now part of this illegitimate government in Ukraine. You know, who the hell is that gets to decide what's legitimate, what's not legitimate? I mean, so Iran funds Hezbollah, which is a resistance who has the right to exist by virtue of the Geneva Convention, the Security UN Security Council. Any occupied people has the right to defend itself. That includes Gaza, that includes Lebanon, that includes Syria or anywhere else. And you saw what happened whenever the tough Israeli forces come up against, battle hardened Hezbollah. It never came out. It never works out well for the IDF because they're cowards. And I guess I'm sort of with Michael Scheuer in regards to, other than the fact that I believe in Michael Scheuer obviously being part of the Bin Laden unit, should have known that Bin Laden wasn't around, that Bin Laden had been killed years ago, and should have known that most of the Al Qaeda were on the CIA payroll. So I do question Michael Scheuer, but I have to agree with him as far as nobody in. I mean, I don't agree that these people are radical Islamists. They're not even Muslims, okay? They're just mercenaries. All right. And if you think that anybody, even the ones that are, okay, there really are people. I mean, there's people in the United States that are prepared to get pretty frickin' radical, okay, because of the things that are going on here. You know what I'm saying? If you live in a neighborhood where, look, and I'm not going to get into the racial thing, but if you live in a neighborhood, and it doesn't matter, it's just these poor neighborhoods. Some are black, some are Mexican, and the cops are just killing people, man. It's time. There are people in the United States that are getting ready to be radical and do radical things because desperate people do desperate things. And if you think that there's somebody anywhere willing to strap a bomb to their chest and blow themselves up on a bus because women can vote in America, you're a fucking idiot. If you think somebody's willing to kill themselves to become a martyr or who's willing to pick up arms against a Western power, and if you think it's because we have freedom, because we watch cartoons, because if you think because we go to bars and have strip clubs, if that's what you think, you are an idiot. You deserve to be butt raped at the airport every time you try to travel. You deserve to pay every penny you own to the government and taxes. You deserve it because you're an idiot. Nobody's killing themselves because women can vote in America. Nobody's killing themselves so that women can vote in Afghanistan. The real hatred comes from the fact that we bomb nations, that we've killed close to, like, in the last 20 years or the last 30, well, actually since 9/11, we've probably killed like 6 million Muslims around the world. And they'll try to tell you, no, 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 no. Where'd you get those numbers? Those numbers come from, UN bodies, Human Rights Watch, Lancet. They're not just made up. They're not just made up. And anyone who thinks that somebody's willing to strap on a bomb and drive a car into an American embassy because we have American Idol is just an idiot. And we have the oil, we have the resources here to change things. Well, and we're going to have to go back to Iraq. It's the same old, same old, same old song and dance. Look at Vietnam. The minute we left, the people of Vietnam reunited. We didn't liberate anybody in Vietnam. We destroyed Vietnam. We laid to waste Vietnam. We dislocated and relocated millions and millions of people, thousands and thousands of villages, destroyed farms and farmland, desolated. I mean, we did not liberate anyone in Vietnam. So yeah, so don't cry about Beau Biden, and don't think that any so-called jihadist, even though it's my opinion that most of these jihadists are actually intelligence agents. I mean, a lot of them are. I mean, you can see are even Western, aren't even Arabic. Well, I guess we can shift gears. I suppose. I mean, Beau Biden didn't do anything worth mentioning, in my opinion. He was a typical politician, and what he was doing in Delaware was sickening, taking away the power of elected officials and giving it to unelected state police. So I don't care. Rob Chowda is doing fine down in Florida, my old co-host from the Robin Freeland Show. So now we'll move on. All right. Now here's something that I kind of did want to talk about because I mean, for years, SIDS, shaken baby, had been misdiagnosed. I mean, you've got to wonder because now, it's coming out that and it's my opinion that a lot of these SIDS and shaken baby cases were vaccine injuries, and I'm sure April agrees with me. Well, so how many innocent parents you think over the years now they're finally coming out and saying that it's been misdiagnosed over and over and over after, how many parents have been or fathers, how awful would it be to lose your baby and then to make it even worse to think that your husband did it? Now that destroys. And this is CPS, this all is all part, all of these different agencies to protect the children. And it's my opinion that a lot of these shaken baby cases were vaccine injuries. And it is kind of near to my heart because my cousin lost her child, her baby. And I got to wonder. Now, I don't know. I mean, I just have to wonder because the minute that happens, right, the first thing they do is pull some sleight of hand and immediately to the mother, after they're done accusing her of shaking their baby, immediately try to point the finger at the father, at the baby's daddy. So for decades, whenever a child, and these were all mostly not, these were like observational diagnosis. You got to understand there's a difference between like a clinical diagnosis, something that, a diagnosis that is the result of testing that shows, inefficiencies or something like that, or lack of something in the body. These are observational diagnoses, much like ADD and a lot of these other things that, all of a sudden your kid has to be on drugs because of some sort of observational diagnosis of his behavior. So now it's coming out that a lot of these diagnoses are coming under scrutiny. They're finding out that and I hate to say it's only 200 cases, but they've got up to 200 cases right now that have to be overturned because of these false diagnoses. I mean, we can't trust these people. We can't trust the medical system in the United States. Legal drugs kill more people than illegal drugs kill in 10 years. Pharmaceutical drugs kill around 80,000 people a year. $80,000, and the number's rising. And this was just a quick study that found that 200 cases in 47 states ended with charges being dropped or overturned. And we found out that around 6% of all death row inmates are falsely convicted. And yet people still think we need more cops, that we need tougher laws. How can we enforce a single fucking law if there's even 1% of people falsely convicted where they have little recourse if they can't, especially if they can't get papers filed? Now, I know everybody in prison didn't do it and everybody's working on their appeal, but I mean, how can you trust a system like this? I can't. And, I've been arrested. I can't even count how many times. And I always was guilty. But I still believed in the system. I figured, well, you got caught, dude. You play, you pay. But it's such a corrupt system, and the laws and the penalties are so selectively enforced. How many lives, how many babies were diagnosed with shaken? And a lot of these, when you look at the cases, coincide a few days after MMR or a hepatitis vaccine. I want to see if I can play this just for a second, part of this little clip. See if this plays, guys.
Many doctors assumed one thing to be the cause: violent shaking and potential child abuse. But in recent years, the diagnosis of what's known as shaken baby syndrome has come under intense scrutiny, and so have many of the prosecutions and convictions that followed. Special correspondent Jackie Judd begins our story in Olney, Maryland.
On a glorious Sunday last Memorial Day weekend in suburban Washington, Andrew Shortell taught his son Piers how to ride a two-wheeler.
Go, go, go!
His wife.
I'm not sure if that's actually playing right. Yeah. I will blast through the news here, but this one, I mean, how many lives are ruined? Can you imagine? Just imagine the feeling that you're a woman or you're a husband, you're a man, and how you hated your spouse for years. Imagine that, the deadness inside. This is a filthy, corrupt system. And our politicians aren't going to do anything about it. All they do is take credit for the past. I mean, all you ever hear from a politician is how menacing the future is. Ooh, we got to be worried about this. We got to be scared of that. And anytime anybody wants to do something different, make things better, they'll fight it tooth and nail. And if it looks like it's, like it's inevitable that it's going to happen, like this marijuana thing going on all over America, they'll take credit for it. They'll jump in and say, we see this is what we wanted all along. Well, so people that listen to my show, I know for a fact, aren't fooled by the mainstream media. The mainstream media, which is making itself more and more inconsequential. Less people watch the news than ever. Less people than ever watch the news. So now they're coming out, and they're and also, I mean, let's see, the articles or the studies are coming out. Hepatitis B vaccine has been linked to sudden infant death. I mean, these vaccines that they keep pushing on us for diseases that aren't deadly, even, especially, that's what really gets me, is the vaccines for diseases that aren't really deadly diseases, but the side effects are so devastating. And our politicians are in cahoots with them, or they would never pass these vaccine injury laws. So if you're in the chat room, tell me how that clip sounded. This is Against the Wall here at the UCY Radio Network, and I obviously haven't talked about very much. Here's something that I'm sure you guys probably knew. How 6 chemical companies now make more than 50,000 different kinds of pesticide. Most of them are probably phosphate or neonicotide and Roundup type. Monsanto, Bayer. I knew Syngenta is big around here. Just, I mean, sounded good? All right. So from now on, if I have something to play, I can. Going to see Poker Face this next weekend coming up. And my good friends, The Tank. And if you don't, I mean, people who think that there's never, for or common or there's never foreknowledge of these events, bullshit. Bull crap. There's a report that came out just last week. It's a DOD, Department of Defense report, that basically admits that, yeah, we knew, the Gulf states knew, Turkey knew, everybody knew that the moderate rebels in Syria, as John Kerry put it, the ones who share our values, the fucking murderers, the beheadings, the fucking demons that share our goddamn values in Syria, were actually Al-Qaeda and ISIS and al-Nusra. I mean, dude, guys, if there's a group of people, say there's 40 people in a room of all sizes and shapes, and you haven't given them any food in a couple of days, and you just throw in enough food to feed half of them, what do you think's going to happen right away? Yeah. The littlest guys are going to go hungry, and the biggest guys are going to eat. So what do you think's going to happen when you've got, and you guys better frickin' pay attention, because that shit is about to happen here. When you have All these different groups. Some of them are right wing, some of them are left wing, but they all share certain common goals, and that's to say bring down the system or what have you. But if you have moderate groups and more radical groups, they're going to start funding, putting money, pumping money into them. You see the oath queefers, and then all of a sudden they're not. Now they're like little statist wannabes. They just want things better. They don't want things. They don't want They don't want a new system. They don't want to prosecute war criminals. They just want to be left alone. Leave us alone if we don't bother you. No, I mean, the groups around so you got to pay attention because the groups that you're involved with, that I'm involved with, are being targeted by our own intelligence here in America the same way they're targeted all over the frickin' world. I mean, I just don't get how we can sit here and spend an hour pointing out all the, all the intelligence in other places, how that's bullcrap and that's phony and this is fake and that. But here, we feel like it can't happen because we're better than that. Man, that's just as bad as, having American exceptionalism, thinking we can go all over the world and do whatever we want and tell people how to live and how to breathe and tell them how to eat and what they should grow and what they should feel and what they should sell and what they should buy and what they should sell it for. Thinking that your little group ain't got some kind of scumbag in there who's taking money from somebody. And we got this big election coming up, so, it's getting ready to get kind of crazy here. But the U.S. intelligence knew. It actually wasn't DOD. It was the Department of Intelligence Agency, DIA document, that they knew that the Islamic State, we pulled out. The Islamic State in Iraq, in Syria, are actually the people that we funded. And the same thing that happens everywhere is we go in there and destroy everything, and then we split and leave the regular people there at the hands of all the jackals. And then after they've caused enough carnage, we'll go in, drop some more bombs, kill some more women and children. And then they'll elect somebody that will sell us their oil for $4 a gallon or $4 a barrel, that'll vote with Israel and all the security councils. Israel, of all the nations on this planet, Israel's the only one that so far has broken like 47, 48 Security Council resolutions. They just don't care. And the people here are like, well, they're our only friends. They're the only democracy over there. Well, then let them take care of Israel, because we got to send over billions of dollars to subsidize them. But yet we're going to call some 60-year-old, grandma who wants Social Security, paid into it all her life, ain't got no kind of pension, ain't got nothing, and we're going to call her a drain on the system. Yet we're going to send Israel billions and billions of dollars a year to cause chaos in the entire region, to starve, to deprive people of their basic humanity needs. Well, we give the Palestinians plenty of water, tainted water, their own water, with interest. So, yeah, they did know. And this Free Syrian Army, the whole thing's a joke. It's not legitimate. They're not even really Muslims, guys. They're killing Muslims. So don't believe that shit. It's Israel. It's the Zionists over there. And we need to let them just stand on their own laurels here. We need to kick them out of our government, kick them out of our schools, kick them out of our banks. They're not victims. Again, who's getting killed fighting ISIS? Iranians are. Syrians are. Saudis aren't. Israelis aren't. Look what's happening in the sea, in the South Sea there, in the China Sea. We're in there conducting maneuvers. I mean, who is the menace on planet Earth? Is it Iran, who hasn't attacked another country in 200 years? Is it Russia? No. While they have their own corruption in their governments, the evil frickin' empire is us, man. And I hate to say that because Americans are great people. But all people are great. You don't get it. I mean, I know the people that listen to my show do get it, but all people are great. All people are powerful. All people are beautiful. All people deserve dignity. It's government. That is a failed idea. It's a failed concept. Centralized rule. It's not working for us. And so the Chinese are obviously, yes, nobody even knows where these little islands are. Not your average American, but they'll definitely defend our right to bomb anybody in that sea that we want. And the big deal is they're creating landmass. They were like, all right, well, you're going to dispute every other island. These islands are ours, undisputable. We'll just make them bigger. And you know that the Western powers have a problem with that. The lines are being drawn. The lines are being drawn. Do I think that there's a world war coming? I don't know, because I don't think there can be really a world war. I could be wrong. I know there's going to be a world of wars. They're going on everywhere. But I'm not sure people are going to. I don't know. I could be wrong. I don't see like a World War II scenario where there's just where not right now. Just because it's they're gonna. I mean, we're already seeing these lockdown of our culture, of our society. We are not an open society anymore. We're a pretty closed society. Cops kill more than 2 people a day, and that's way low. This was a study. This one, obviously, this came out of the BBC, but it was a study that was done by the Washington Post. And yeah, I've had Clive Freeman on, and he done plenty of research, spent years collecting the data. The figure until last year or the year before, the figures were more than 600 Americans a year being killed by law enforcement, and now I think the number is probably up over 1,000. So, and these are self-reported. That's why you can't really trust them too much. But, guys, who kills more Americans than the American law enforcement? It's not Al Qaeda. It's not ISIS. It's the cops here. They're killing people. And it's not just black people. It's not just minorities. It's everyone. It's poor people. They're killing poor people, man. Oh, they don't mind killing middle class people. I think they're Slogan should be 8 to 80. Blind, crippled, and crazy. We'll shoot you all. If you try to run, we'll shoot you in the back. And I don't consider them heroes. I consider firefighters heroes. They're not cops. The guy who started the Silk Road got life in prison. But they never got any of the dope dealers. Just a guy that created a marketplace that was off, that was untamperable by the powers that be, and that's what was the worst thing about it for the powers that be, that they couldn't control. They couldn't collect taxes on it. It was a place where you could buy and sell. You know what I mean? So, of course, that's not gonna take long for them to go after that. But what did the guy really do? He wasn't a dope dealer. He wasn't selling drugs himself. And then, you saw what they did to Aaron Schwartz. What about Rand Paul? Does anybody think this idiot's going to block the Patriot Act renewal? I'm going to talk until it's too late to pass the bill. No, you're not. No, you're not. We're see-through Rand Paul. He might as well have a little Star of David tattooed to his forehead. I don't think Bitcoin is dead, but screw Bitcoin. That's not true freedom. It's it is a decent. I mean, the idea of cryptocurrency, but look at who's pushing them. Max Kaiser, and he's making a lot of money off of Bitcoin. But it's digital. And I don't trust. I'm not saying that it's fake or anything like that. I'm just saying I don't trust digital anything. It's not anonymous, even though they claim it is. Anonymous is me being able to go to your house, strike a deal with you for whatever. With nobody, and it's nobody's business. So no, I don't have anything bad to say about Bitcoin. I just don't trust it just because it's not cash. And by cash, I don't necessarily mean Federal Reserve notes. I just mean real money. But I really, really, really doubt very much that he'll be able to filibuster and not get the Patriot Act renewal. It's part of a culture. It's America. National security. Yeah, but was I right about vaccine injury and sudden infant death syndrome, April? I don't trust Bitcoin. But it's just the feeling I got. I don't trust vaccines because I've done way too much research. I've saw way too many families destroyed. Just the whole idea of pitting spouses against each other. That's a very, very Talmudic Jewy thing to do to all us goy. People think, well, I wish everybody would stop saying Jew when they mean Zionist or Zionist when they mean... Look, man, long before there was Zionism, there was Judaism. So don't give me that bullshit. They call themselves Jews, so you can call them Jews. All right? Don't feel bad about it. And yeah, I call them out. I don't spend every minute, every waking minute, trying to tie everything to a Jew somewhere. It's it's silly. I know of the agenda, and it sort of goes in line with most of the left wing sort of socialist commie agenda. You know, there's been I mean, if you want to look at it as an attack on Christianity, that's been going on since day one for thousands of years. That's nothing new. Zionism is a new thing, but Zionism, right, was the brainchild, it was the little baby monkey of the Rothschild, who was a Talmudic Kabbalist Jew, a filthy, money hungry, greedy, disgusting man who had the same old supremacist ideology and goal to rule the world, which some could say he has, and some would say he hasn't. That is not to say, and I will agree that that is not to say that a parent doesn't get frustrated when their child cries. I've seen it. I've had babies. I've sat there and ripped the hair out of my head, screaming, please stop. But to kill a baby by shaking it, come on. And it's pumped on all the news. Yeah, unfortunately, how many babies get dropped on their head and they're fine? You go, oops. Sometimes they don't even cry. If you ask me, 90% of these are vaccine injuries. And those are entire families, whole fucking families destroyed. Not only do they lose the baby, but you have one whole half of a family who hates the other because they feel that they killed him. When all along was the gosh darn doctor. It was the freaking establishment. It was Bayer, it was Pfizer, it was Merck. And if you even question it, I mean, people think that the moron truthers that run around hijacking people, what about Building 7? What about Building 7? Are attacked. Try going around telling people that vaccines are killing their fucking kids. They're turning their kids into zombies, into morons. Those are the people that get attacked. Those people want to attack and burn at a stake. Not some dude with a camcorder and some canned questions about 9/11. Although, listen, I don't have a problem. I feel like those, fine, you should do that. But they love that. That's very non-effective. And I was hoping my friend would call in because the people that are effective, you can see that they're trying to change the culture, the way people think about them, so that there is no escape, so that you even question. I mean, I question Gardasil. My doctor says, well, Jim, it prevents cancer. No, it doesn't. It causes cancer. And now they find out that if you got the Gardasil shot for the last 10 fucking years, pardon my language, the last 10 gosh darn years, that you have made yourself, as we said 7 years ago, you have now made yourself 40, 30, 40, 50% more likely to develop these precancerous polyps that may develop into cervical cancer, which is a very, very, very rare occurrence as it's related to HPV, which almost every woman on planet Earth will catch at one time or another in their life. And they just cavalierly, with a cavalier attitude, yeah, so we've misdiagnosed some SID cases. And like Alex Jones would say, a war on for your mind. No, there's not a war on for our mind. There's a war on for our babies, and they're destroying their minds. One out of every other freaking male born in America will have at least mild autism in 25 years. That's what I hear. That's what the studies say. And what is it? It's the food. No, it's the air. No, it's vaccines, man. It's heavy metals. And now they're not just putting it right in directly in our bloodstream. They're spraying it on us. Coal ash in the skies. So now if you got your Gardasil shot, you got to get another one. And what about the boys who can't even get cervical cancer because they could pass HPV? You could never have sex your entire life and contract HPV. But you try to tell some woman that they just gave their 15-year-old daughter precancerous polyps, and they will get not only mad but militantly mad at you. They won't want you to just leave. They'll want you blackballed and blacklisted and shunned everywhere you go. And we see all this freaking degradation and deprivation and all these things going on to protect our children, when really what they're doing is victimizing our children. Most of our politicians are pedophiles, sodomists. And if you try to talk about that, they're going to tell you, no, those are crisis actors. Fuck you. Our freaking politicians, most of them are freaking pedophiles. Most of our churches are full of pedophiles. All the makers and shakers and the movers in Washington, D.C. are pedophiles, are rapists. The intelligence circles, the top brass of the Marines, of the Navy, of the Air Force, they're either gay or they're pedophiles or they're gay pedophiles. But you can't talk about that. Can't talk about that. Can't talk about Jews in Israel. Can't talk about cultural Marxism. You know, and it's sort of in vogue for me to be a 9/11 truther. If I say 9/11 was an inside job, and some people are like, ooh, he's kind of cool. But you go ahead and say, I'm an autism mom, and I believe that vaccines cause my child's autism, and you are literally worse than ISIS. People wonder why I don't do these shows every day. I couldn't. My head would explode. Not just from the frickin' system, from all the morons that run around trying to say they're our friend. Those scumbags. The alternative media. And I'm sorry, I don't know if saying autistic mom is an insult, but I feel for parents, both mothers and fathers, whose children I know. I've experienced the love of a baby. I know how you can love, how much you can love a child. Not that all children are a burden to most people. To me, they weren't. My children were a blessing from the Father. Not at first. It took a while for me to realize it. And it's such a horrendous thing that it's hard to believe. It's hard to take it in. Well, why would they do this? Why would they do that? For money. When you're talking about the non-elite Jews, they're doing it because they want to rule the world, and they've wanted to for thousands of freaking years. But if you're talking about just your average dolt, It's because they're ill-informed, they're brain damaged. They watch the Talmudic freaking filthy vision 24 hours a day, and the ones that aren't listen to morons like Alex Jones talk about ISIS camps in Mexico. Anyhow, I'm sorry. Again, I don't make any friends in the frickin' libertarian community, I suppose. And I really don't care. Hey, let me ask you this. Why on earth, remember the 20th hijacker, Zechariah Moussaoui? Why on earth would he have the number for Blackwater in his notebook? Because they all work together, man. Blackwater is Al Qaeda. Mercenaries are ISIS. Some of them are Arab, some of them are European. How about this? How about this public service announcement telling kids to steal their parents' gun and turn them in at school? Holy shit! Can you imagine a kid bringing a loaded gun to school? Of course somebody's going to go to jail then. Oh, this is my father's legally purchased and owned firearm, and I'm bringing it to school. This is the crazy world we live in, guys. This is the crazy-ass world we live in. Where some filthy piece of crap with a $3,000 suit can knowingly give injections that cause autism, sudden infant death, that can cause Guillain-Barré, that can cause, you name it, all kinds of neurological damage, and you can't even sue the son of a bitch. And they think, and I'm freaking glad that there are people like our friend April here who wouldn't just take some sort of monetary payout by the vaccine court, who would say that this child that I was carried around, that I'd taken care of, is worth a few $1,000s, and now I'll shut up because it couldn't have been the vaccine companies. Then why are they giving people money? Why are they being protected? Man. So can you imagine kid bringing a gun to school? Can you take this away? I don't feel safe with this in my house. I mean, they locked our school down. They had 4 different agencies, the state troopers, the sheriffs, all the local police, and it was on the news when some young girl got caught with more antihistamine than I guess was allowed at school. But now they're trying to encourage children to bring their parents' guns to school. Oh, man. Did I cover any news today? Did I talk about anything important? Probably not. I mean, you guys have to get used to this. This is just the way I do things. I don't have an agenda. You get an hour of whatever's just chapping my hide. And really, the cops killing people and doctors killing people really chaps my frickin' hide. Osama bin Laden could never, even in his wildest dreams, kill as many Americans as your average doctor. And you see, I think Jules was talking about it the other day about live anthrax being shipped all over. We're supposed to trust them. Yeah, we're supposed to trust them. We're supposed to trust them to defend us when they couldn't defend the most heavily defended property on planet Earth from 4 Arabs with $4 box cutters. And we're supposed to trust them. We're supposed to trust these lunatics who, when nobody's looking, like to sodomize young boys. And if they go too far, film it for their snuff buddies. And we're supposed to trust these people. And we're supposed to shed a tear for some parasite like Beau Biden's son, or Joe Biden's son, Beau. Don't shed a tear. Don't be angry. I mean, realize that there's people that need your empathy and your mercy, man. Screw wasting all your time and energy on things that you can't change. I mean, if there's anything, which is very little, that I ever learned from AA, it's the Serenity Prayer. Everything else about Alcoholics Anonymous to me is bullshit. They spend they sit there and try to convince you that you've got a disease, that you're going to relapse. No, quit drinking. Stop drinking. Don't drink. You're cured. Well, at any rate, granting, serenity and knowing that, that there's things that you cannot change, that's the one thing, being able to know the difference between the things that you can change and the things that you can't change. And so why stand in front of an abortion clinic and yell at poor women with terrible fucking decisions to make? Why do these things? Why be a Jehovah Witness truther? It's ineffective. All right, I want to thank everybody. This has been Against the Wall. We've been listening to
We're good people. We're God-fearing people. We're being led by leaders who are godly, who are lawless. All right? Don't let them fool you into thinking you're lawless and you don't have to care. They can call it whatever they want, but they can't make it hate. Yeah.
I'd rather die than be a slave to thee. Don't trade